the less attention I give that, then the more power I give to myself. Because here's the deal. The only thing I can really control is what I do. So, unless you've been sleeping over the last week, you will now know that Donald Trump is once again the President of the United States of America. And it's got very mixed feelings. There's a lot of people who are really, really for it. They think it's a brilliant thing for America and for the world. And there's a lot of people who think it's an absolute tragedy. The man's a buffoon. How can he possibly be the president again? And one thing that is for certain is it has grabbed the headlines over the last few days, and everybody is talking about it. So the question I've got is, what does it really mean for you, for me, for anybody, for that matter? So before we dive into that, if you are watching this right now, which you must be if you can hear me speaking, make sure you do all the usual housekeeping stuff. So click the little subscribe button, wherever that may be, give this video a thumbs up, and drop me a little comment and let me know what your feelings are on the whole Donald Trump presidential reclaiming thing. So what I do want to say is, when I speak about this, man, I'm not going to dive into the politics, because I'm going to be honest with you, man. I used to really look into politics a lot. I used to look into a lot of politics, and I used to watch a lot of conspiracy things, and I was ball deep in that. And if I'm being honest, I lost a lot of my life to it. And now I don't really watch a lot. I don't look at the news. I don't really follow politicians. I didn't watch any of the kind of run up to the election. I didn't watch any of that stuff. I know bits and bobs. I know a few little bits here and a few little bits there. But it's got the world up in arms, man. Everybody's going bananas, like, because it's, as I said earlier, some people think it's brilliant, some people think it's not brilliant. But like, what does it really mean? What does it really mean for you, for me, for anybody? All right. So of course, when any new political body comes in, right, when any new party takes over, there are going to be changes. Of course there are. All right. There's always going to be changes. There's going to be certain things that happen in the markets, in the political landscape. There's always going to be some changes. All right. And that might mean that we might pay more money for some things. It might mean we pay less money for some things. It might mean we get paid more money for certain things. Like, whatever it may be, of course there's going to be changes that absolutely do affect us. But here's the deal, man. All right, and here's one of the reasons I kind of stepped away from being so deeply engrossed with politics. At the end of the day, nothing really changes. It really doesn't. Other than the things that I've just spoken about. Like, of course, there's a few different things that are going to happen. But the reality is we've got no control over that. None whatsoever. And if we spend our days or weeks or months or whatever fretting about what these guys are doing and getting ourselves getting our knickers all in a twist about it, whose life is that really affecting? It doesn't affect them in any way, shape or form, and anything we say can't change what they do. So of course, the actions they take, the policies they put in place, of course it affects us, of course it does. The trickle down of that, of course it does affect us. Inadvertently, it's going to affect our lives, but there's nothing we can do about it. So what really does change? Absolutely nothing. All right, and here's the thing, man. Here's one of the biggest things I've been learning over the last few years of my life, the older I'm starting to get, is the less attention I give that, then the more power I give to myself. Because here's the deal. The only thing I can really control is what I do. Right? I can control my own thoughts, I can control my own actions, I can control my own behaviours. Those are the things that I can control every single day. I can't control what anybody else does. But if I allow my thoughts, my actions, and my behaviours to be influenced massively by what's going on externally to my own life, then of course my life's going to change. The way that I see things, the way that I do things is going to change, which may be negative, may be positive. It might have a much more direct impact then to my way of living. But the reality is, I'm still going to get up every day. I'm still going to get up every day and do some work. I'm going to make these videos every week. I'm going to get up and I'm going to manage my social media accounts. I'm going to get up and I'm going to have conversations with people. I'm going to get up and I'm going to, I'm going to tend to all my online fitness clients that I've got. I'm going to go out to my karate classes, my jiu-jitsu classes that I teach every week. I'm still going to go out and teach those classes. I'm still going to, try and bring new people into those classes, into my kind of circle of influence. I'm going to try and bring new people in so that I can help them. Then I've got a direct influence on how I can help maybe change their lives. All right, the things that I do every single day aren't going to change. I'm not going to, nothing's going to be different. I'm still going to love my wife the same way that I love my wife. I'm still going to play with my daughter and love my daughter the same way I love my daughter. I'll go out for walks at the same time every day. I make sure I get to the gym 2 to 3 times a week, and where possible, when I'm not injured, as I am at the moment, I'll go out running 2 or 3 times a week. So my life isn't really going to change. Nothing's going to be different about what I do in my life. Of course, if some big politician was to come to my door and say, right, you're getting evicted out of your house because we're going to buy up all the houses and you're getting evicted and you can't afford to stop us, which I don't think that could happen or would happen or is going to happen. But as a very radical example, if that happened, then of course, yeah, that directly affects my life. That then is a direct thing that's happening to my life that I've then got to deal with at that time. But nothing's really changing. And unless anything drastic happens, like all of a sudden, Trump falls out with Russia or whatever may be in that whole landscape of things, and then they start bombing this country. I don't know why they would bomb here because it's America. But then say Keir Starmer jumps into bed with Trump, and then Putin gets a wee bit pissed off because Starmer's pals with Trump. So he decides to start bombing us. Yeah, okay, cool, man. That's then got a direct influence on what's happening in my life because that's pretty close to home. But the reality is nothing changes. Absolutely nothing in my life changes other than who is in charge of the free world. All right? My day-to-day actions, my day-to-day interactions, the things that I do every single day, nothing changes. All right? And until something does change, and if something, let me rephrase that. If something were to change, the food supply got disrupted, or we were to get taxed more money, of course that impacts me. But again, at that point, I have a choice. And all I can control at that point is how I react or how I respond to that change. The actual change, the thing itself, there's nothing I can do about it. I just then need to find a way to react or respond accordingly to make sure that I can keep on moving forward. But if I just lose my cool, if I just start flipping out because, I can't believe that maniac's in the White House, oh my God, it's disgusting, it's this, it's that. Who is that really impacting? Do you know what I mean? Who is that really impacting? That impacts you. It doesn't impact anybody else. And again, if we look at it from a political perspective, I don't take any interest. I obviously don't vote in American politics. It's not my thing. I don't really care who gets into power. But from my very limited knowledge of what both parties' policies were, it's a crazy thing for me to say, but Donald Trump seemed to be the better candidate. Will that prove to be the case over the next 4 years? Who knows? All right, but one thing is for sure, for absolute sure, is I'm not going to allow that to impact my life. I'm not going to allow it to get me down. There were some people, I put out a post on my social media to ask the question, how do you feel about it? Some people are really heavily involved, and they're getting really emotionally into it. Oh, it's really terrible, it's this, it's that. Other people from the UK are like, yeah, they're celebrating like it's the best thing that's ever happened. I am neither here nor there. I honestly couldn't care. I couldn't give two hoots. It doesn't affect me, doesn't impact me. I'm still going to live my life. All right, and this is the approach that I've been trying to take with everything in my life. Like if there's things that are happening outside of my control, I'm not giving it any power. Of course I acknowledge it. If something happens that, like if somebody was to crash into my car outside, like my car's parked outside my house. If somebody crashed into my car, of course that's rubbish. That's going to suck. Like that's a direct thing that's happened to something of my possession. The car's been smashed into. But I've got no control over that. I could go out and start screaming and shouting at the guy, how could you crash into a parked car, you maniac? But it doesn't fix the car. The car's still gubbed. The car's still been smashed into. So the only thing I can control at that point in time is how I react and how I respond. I can choose to fly off the handle and start shouting at the guy, or I can choose to be calm and approach it from a rational standpoint. Like you never know what happened, man. Like his tyre might have blown out and his car might have skidded into my car. He might have sneezed as he was passing my car and his eyes shut and he jerked for a second. He might have had his kid in the back and his kid stuck a balloon in his face and he's swerved. Listen, if you've got kids, man, you know these things happen. And anything could have happened. So I don't know what the circumstances been. So to just go down and start screaming at the guy, that wouldn't solve any problems. It wouldn't get me anywhere. And all that would do is it would make him feel really crap again about himself, but it would also get me really het up. It would show my family that I can't control my emotions, I can't control my own behaviours. Right, so even though something's happened that directly does impact me, I would still choose to be calm, or I'd do my best to be calm. 10 years ago, I couldn't have done that. My mindset wasn't in this place. 10 years ago, I would have went absolutely wild, and I'd have kicked off, and I'd have been like, "Oh, how dare you!" And I'd probably started fighting with the guy in the street. All right, and I'm talking about what this actually happened. It's a very hypothetical situation, but you get my point. The only thing I have control over is me, nothing else. So regardless of what's happening in American politics, British politics, in the Middle East, all those things are tragic. Of course they are. They're horrendous. All the wars and stuff that are happening, of course they're rubbish. But there's nothing I can do about it. All I can control is me, my own thoughts, my own actions, my own behaviours. All right, and the things that are then in my direct sphere of influence. That's the only things I can control. Anything out with that, to give it too much power and to give it too much attention, if you will, it's going to make me feel worse. It's going to make me feel crap, which I don't want to happen. All right, so all we can hope and pray for is that whatever Mr. Trump does now is good. Like, hopefully he does some good things. And like I say, there's a few policies that he's actually got that I can really get behind. Like, I'm really kind of on board with. There's a few that I'm sure I'll be like, I don't know too much about that. But then that's the same with any politician. If you look at their policies at the start of their term when they first get into office, they're all full of the best promises ever. They're all going to do the best thing. They're going to do this. They're going to do that. Yay. It very rarely comes to fruition, which is why I don't really follow politics all that much, because it's not worth wasting my time over. It's really not. It's not worth me getting all het up and all hot and bothered about, because at the end of the day, there's nothing I can do about it. All I can do is control me. All right. All you can do is control you. Control your thoughts, control your feelings, control your behaviours, control the way you interact with the world every day. And when you start doing that, when you start giving less power to the things you can't control, man, does it really, really change how you live your life and how you feel in your day-to-day life. All right, and not only that, like I think this has been more apparent since I became a dad. Like Cameron is now 6, she was 7 in 2 weeks' time. Since I became a dad, it's probably the most life-changing thing in the world, and every parent says that, so it's really cliche. It really is a life-changing thing. However, what I mean by that is it's really put me on a path of, and I was already on a path of self-discovery and self-improvement, but it's really put me on that path, like, even more aggressively. Like, I watch things that happen, like when Cameron's maybe having a kick-off, if she's having a wee meltdown, she's only 6, meltdowns happen, and I lose my cool about it. It's like, oh man, that's something stupid you're crying at. Why would you cry about something stupid? Well, to me it's stupid. To her, it's really not. So I'm having to then take a step back and like, okay, cool, that's the wrong way to deal with it. It's actually making the situation worse. I need to look at what I'm doing in that whole situation and show her a better way to deal with things. Just me telling her that's stupid, don't cry about it, that's really not helpful. Right? That's like telling a person that's already massively compromised in terms of their temper and their emotions, and they're screaming and shouting and they're banging things, just calm down, mate. Or telling a depressed person, just be happy, smile, man, just be happy. It doesn't work. All right, it just doesn't work. So there's things that I have to do to control my own emotions, to control my own behaviours, that I can then demonstrate to my daughter how to actually go about doing that. All right, and that has been probably one of the biggest learning curves I've been on since I've become a parent, is controlling me. If I want to influence how my daughter acts and behaves, for the better, like to give her more positive kind of behavioural patterns, I need to demonstrate those. I can't just tell her to do it. Like, I was a very emotional kid. I was a very angry kid through my teenage years and wanted to fight the world. Didn't get me anywhere. It got me in a lot of trouble. I don't want that for Cameron, but it's not enough for me to tell her, oh no, don't do life like that. I need to show her. I need to show her that I can stay calm. So when things happen, I need to be a bit indifferent to it. Yeah, well, do you know what? It is what it is, man. There's nothing we can do about that. So I'm going to focus on me. I'll focus on me and the things that I need to do to make me better every single day. And when you take that approach to life, I promise, man, it's not just going to have a massive benefit for you in your own life. It's going to massively benefit everybody else around about you as well. Because when they see that, they then want to emulate that and maybe be a bit more like what you're like, or maybe be a bit more calm in the way that you're demonstrating. I got my words mixed up there. A message just came up on my screen there, and I tried to read that and talk at the same time. That was a disaster. I should shut my messages off. But when you're demonstrating calm behaviour, then other people see that and they want to emulate it. All right, because it's like, oh, do you know what? That actually looks so much better than just going nuts all the time and just blowing off the handle. I mean, if you were to go into a room full of people, and there's one person in the corner that's kicking off and slamming things and shouting and screaming and bashing things off the walls and going, being all aggressive, but there's another guy in the corner, or girl, like whatever, in another corner, being really calm and talking and being nice to everybody and being friendly. Who would you be more likely to gravitate towards? It would be a very particular type of person that would go towards the maniac. Like I'm reckoning his circle of friends in that party would be pretty small, whereas the person that's calm and nice and talking and being genuine, people are going to gravitate to that. Like, I think I'm going to stand over beside that person because they've got much, they've got a much more kind of appealing demeanour about them. Whereas that person there, if I go and stand beside them, I'm probably going to get hurt. All right, and that happened. That's so representative of how other people will see you in your life. If you can be calm, if you can be cool and collected, then people are going to gravitate towards you, and they're going to want to be more along those lines. All right, so yeah, a bit of a strange one. This one, I started off with political chat and went on to being a dad, but that's just the nature of how these things go. So I think the overall message is, of course, pay attention to what's going on in the world. Like if we don't pay attention at all, then we're massively uninformed. Like we don't know what's going on. Right, so I look at enough politics and worldly events to keep abreast of what's happening, but I don't give it a lot of my time, right? Because I don't want it to negatively impact me, right? And then from there, I can then choose how I want to act, how I want to respond, all right? So of course, if it's not your cup of tea that the big man, the big orange Oompa Loompa man is in office, then cool, man, it's not your cup of tea. There's nothing you can do about it. Control you, what you can do. If it is your cup of tea and you think it's the best thing in the world, cool, awesome, amazing. I'm happy for you. But just remember, there's nothing you can do to influence what he's going to do. So if he doesn't start doing what he's promised he's going to do, then you don't get upset. Just control you, control what you do, and control your own life. You're going to be so much happier for it. So anyway, listen, I hope that made sense. If you get any value from these videos, then do make sure you hit that little subscribe button, give it a little thumbs up, and drop me a comment down below and let me know what your thoughts are on the whole political landscape in the world. And if you're listening to this one as a podcast, then give it a 5-star review, if you wouldn't mind. That doesn't cost you anything. You just push your finger on the 5-star button and maybe say some nice words. I'd really appreciate it. And maybe even share this episode with a friend. Share it with people that are for Trump and people that are against Trump. And let's just see what the crack is. Let's get some debate on the go. Healthy, friendly debate though. Remember, control yourself. Don't go wild and start arguing at stuff that sucks. So anyway, listen, thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you for watching. That is us for this one. And we'll see you on the next video. Take care.